Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be going over a unique item which also exists in Diablo 2. This is got a fancy graphic. I mean, look at that big fancy graphic. It doesn't have one on the ground, but it definitely has one in my inventory. Now this is a Great Axe base. It has 12 to 30 damage, 75 durability, and a pretty massive strength requirement of 80. So you're probably not going to be using this on a sorcerer or a rogue unless you have some plus to strength equipment, like, you know, plus all stats and things like that. And this one is the Messerschmidt Reaver. I always say it this way. I don't know why. Messerschmidt. That's the Messerschmidt Reaver. Don't ask me why I say it that way. I don't know. The Messerschmitt Reaver is actually kind of an interesting weapon, although it suffers the same problems that a lot of unique items have in this game, which is it doesn't have any two-hit percentage. But let's talk about what it does have, and we'll talk about what it doesn't have later. So the Messerschmitt Reaver has 200% enhanced damage, which is really nice. And that enhanced damage is going to increase the damage that you dish out massively. It also has 15 points of damage added to it flat, which is also going to give you another huge bonus to its damage output. And overall, it does have some really nice damage. It also has +5 to all attributes, which is going to give you even more damage through strength, a little bit of HP, a little bit of mana, a little bit of two-hit percentage, which is the only two-hit percentage that it has. And then it also has a pretty big negative of -50 HP, which is kind of huge. As a warrior, it's not as big because you generally do have a really nice HP pool, and it does kind of cancel out a little bit of those negative hit points by giving you +5 to vitality, but it's still not really the greatest. It also comes with a pretty nice amount of fire damage of 2 to 12 fire damage. So as you can see, the damage output on it tends to be really nice at 52 to 106, which is kind of crazy. The 200% bonus plus the fire damage plus the additional damage that Messerschmitt Reaver has on it all add up to a very high damage weapon. The main downside of this particular weapon is its extremely low two-hit chance, which has to be countered out with other pieces of equipment like two-hit rings, two-hit amulet, dexterity bonuses, and things of that nature. Because unfortunately it is also a two-handed weapon, you lose access to your shield, which isn't really the greatest. In general, it's not going to be like your best endgame piece of equipment because it doesn't have increased attack speed, no fast, faster, or fastest. And it has no two-hit percentage, which means that you need to sacrifice your rings and amulets to be able to accommodate the low two-hit percentage of this item. Now, why is two-hit percentage so bad in this game? Well, it seems to be that, like, the higher level the monster, the more armor class the monster has, and if you don't have a two-hit percentage capable of bypassing that monster's defense, well, you just don't hit them. Like, I'm talking about, like, 1 out of every 10 hits might connect, which is pretty bad. So as you can clearly see, an item like this, which only has a 77% to hit, it doesn't mean you have a 77% chance to hit. It means that's your two-hit percentage versus the monster's, like, armor class. An item like this Strain Sword, which actually has a high two-hit percentage of 144%, brings me up to a 219% to hit. And believe it or not, even though this weapon only does 7 to 16 damage, in most situations it'll probably out-damage Messerschmitt Reaver just simply because Messerschmitt Reaver is going to freaking miss like 90% of the time that you swing it, unfortunately, which is really just the main downside. It could potentially be really useful in normal difficulty before the armor class of the monsters gets really high. However, once you get into Nightmare and Hell difficulty, where the armor class of the monsters is literally skyrocketing through the roof and you need more and more two-hit percentage to make contacting hits, the Messerschmitt Reaver really falls off once you get into Nightmare and Hell difficulty. So definitely not an item that you want to use later on, but something that you could definitely put on a warrior, you know, like in normal difficulty, and just run around having fun, just smashing things with a big giant axe. It's definitely something that you could do. Let's check and see how much it sells for at the vendor.
Whoa, what can I do for you?
14,500. That's a pretty hefty chunk of chains, and definitely something that you could potentially dupe for money if you wanted to get some extra cash out of it. Certainly an interesting item, powerful enough to definitely smash some targets, and if you could potentially counteract the fact that it doesn't have any two-hit percentage, definitely a powerful weapon. 200% increased damage with the 15 added bonus definitely makes it one of the higher damage weapons in the game, and the additional fire damage on top of it. I've rarely ever seen weapons with damage this high at essentially a little tiny care package, right? And so Messerschmitt Reaver. There it is, everybody. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe button if you enjoy the content. This is my full-time job, so it helps me out. And as always, keep watching.